Everyone, we were patiently waiting. We were patiently waiting for the 6 o'clock chime. Today is Monday, June 24th, 2024, and the time now is 6 p.m. and I will call to order the regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023, by resolution number 21-R-2023, remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website designated posting place 24 hours prior to this meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings at public hearings. The guidelines are available online and on the entry table. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at Town Hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda, and the second public comment opportunity allows any subject whether it is on the agenda or not. In addition, public comment will also be accepted during tonight's public hearing, item number 9. Mary, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead.
Here.
Trustee Harris.
Here.
Trustee Parr.
Here.
Trustee Schranz.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, June 24th, 2024, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you, Mary. Please join me in a moment of silence for all of the victims in the central New Mexico wildfires. Our thoughts are with them tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Review and approve agenda is next. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Parr.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. Next is our staff report by our town manager. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. You have my report. A couple of things I'd like to highlight. First of all, the CML conference was a pretty successful one. I'm not sure if it was as well attended as they are when they're at Breckenridge, which is where it will be again next year. But I personally went to a lot of really interesting classes, and I learned a lot of information that I think will help us moving forward. So another thing I just wanted to mention, Lorelei said there were 150 children who attended the entrepreneurial fair before the movie on Friday. You know, really successful. So that was exciting, really exciting. I love all the new ideas of things that we do here. Please remember our first meet, greet, and eat is tomorrow night over at Founders. So get ready to answer questions, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout for that. And then finally, I wanted to mention we did get the draft audit in over the weekend. So that's exciting. As you will recall, last year, we really struggled to get the audit. We had to file an extension, but it will be coming before you at our next board meeting. So, and that's all I have.
Questions or comments for Helen? Tricia?
I had one thing. So I was looking over the CIRSA renewal documents for the property casual insurance, and you said, for example, they've increased our deductibles from 1,000 to 25,000. That's sounds like a huge jump. Like, so we don't, because like I know with a car, like say I get to set my deductible for my car, and it can affect how high my rate is. So with CIRSA, we don't set our deductibles. They decide what your deductibles are. I guess I'm just not sure how that worked, and found that one very interesting and wanted more information.
Well, I think Mary can talk about it, but it is, you know, as you know, it's a shared risk pooling. So Go ahead, Mary attended the luncheon on that.
So the deductible, what I meant was the deductibles are set at $1,000 to $25,000. But the minimum deductibles did all go up. We had $500 deductibles on auto and property. Those have all gone up to $1,000. That's now their minimum deductible. The 25,000 is a minimum deductible on police liability claims. The previous minimum deductible on those claims was $1,000.
Oh, wow.
And so we could potentially get higher deductibles on our auto and property. We could go up to 5,000 if we so chose, but the minimum went to 1,000.
But, okay, so on the police though, we don't get to choose. They tell you what that one is. We do have some options
The minimum is $25,000.
now. Wow, okay, quite the jump. All right, just a curiosity thing.
Helen, I would like for you to highlight what happened over in the last couple of days with Representative Caravale's office with our funding. So could you just update the board on what came over just a couple of days ago?
So we received word that, as you will recall, we put in that joint funding application with the town of Berthoud. And we received word on Friday that it cleared the first hurdle. So it's being recommended as part of the funding package. So the important thing there is we weren't ixnayed out and we're moving on to the next level.
Yep, so good thoughts. And thank you to all the participants and our staff that made that possible. Without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to be on that list today. So thank you very much for all your work and all the dedication to the staff. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, anything else for Helen? Sorry, my microphone's a little loud tonight, so sorry, people. Sorry, everyone. All right, we'll move on to our informational items. We have two tonight. The first one is our cleanup recap by our Public Information Officer, Community Engagement Director, Lorelei Nelson. Ma'am, you have the floor, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. So I just want to take a few minutes and go over our cleanup days that happened in May. You'll recall we transitioned to Front Range landfill primarily because of costs, environmental permitting, regulations, and Front Range offered extended hours and extended days. So in April, we started advertising. Cleanup days was in May. We had a 1 load, 1 ton limit, and they were open Monday through Saturday, expanded list of acceptable waste, all available on our website. The biggest change this year was our vouchers. So we had 297 picked up from Town Hall. With conversations from residents, we extended the pickup dates. So we provided a longer time for them to come in and pick them up. And we also provided a Saturday option for folks that the Monday through Friday didn't work. They could come in on Saturday and pick those up as well. Front Range landfill reported that 205 were redeemed. So of the 297 picked up from Town Hall, 205 were taken over to Front Range. We had about 104 tons of waste, and the cost was a little over $16,000. Throughout this transition, we did field some calls and emails, a lot of questions, wanting to know why the transition, wanting to know the different types of waste that Front Range provides, and questions about yard waste. We did have, I will note, we did have some residents reach out and who were happy about the expanded acceptable waste. Primarily, one of the big things that we ran into throughout the years was mattresses and box springs. And so a couple of people reached out and was thankful that the town was providing this one and that they would accept their mattresses. So we did plan for this voucher verification system throughout 2024. Budget implications. I know there's been some questions about yard waste. One of the reasons that we moved to Front Range was because of the environmental permitting and regulations regarding yard waste, particularly weeds and getting in significant debris. So if it's something that the board would like to look at for next year is moving this back in-house, there are significant budget impacts. I just want everybody to be aware of in conversations with Public Works and the crew that has run this the last several years. So we would need a person to run this. We don't have the staffing levels to continue to do this, particularly with the yard waste and the environmental permitting regulations that are required, the reporting, the tracking. This new position estimated about 75,000 plus benefits, and we need them to have certifications in horticulture and environmental regulations. Another factor that would significantly increase this year is equipment. We're estimating about 45,000 annually with a 5% increase every year. The biggest thing is the tub grinder. And for example, last year that was $7,000 for us to rent. This year it leaped up to 11,000. So that's per use. And another factor to consider is our fire hazard and mitigation. One of the concerns that was brought to my attention through Public Works is Mountain View Fire regularly goes out and talks to them about, you know, debris and keeping fire hazards down, and having a brush pile would impact that. So we'd need to look at that as well. So in fall of 2024, we're planning the voucher verification pickup. We'll start releasing vouchers September 30th. We're going to increase our advertisement, particularly notating the voucher dates, and then folks can drop off their loads at Front Range October 14th through the 26th. Questions, comments, and concerns?
Questions for Lorelei? I just had one, when we went there, when Jim and I went there, it was very nice. I mean, we've been to landfill so many times there, but they were very receptive of, you know, the getting the vouchers, and it was approximately $185 per load. So that's how much, you know, that the town has given times whatever we had. So I just want to say thank you very much for that. I know that I've heard some concerns at Coffee with the Mayor, and tried to talk through the whole kind of why we're going down this path, and making sure that Mead is clean and environmentally safe for us. So that's the comments that I have for tonight. So anybody else? Tricia?
I took a load there too. And I guess I went there. I used to live in Loveland. And so I've been to the one that was between Loveland and Fort Collins many times. And I guess I went to this Erie one with the expectation that it was like that, where you could separate things out, where there was a place for your scrap metal, there was a place for your tree limbs, there was a place for your actual trash. And I was super sad when I pulled up there, and it was just throw every damn thing in the back of your truck on the ground. And they come in with their big trucks and just swipe it away. I didn't even leave my scrap metal. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Because I know that all of that can be recycled. Is there another place that we can look to do this that provides more options for what to do with stuff?
I could certainly look into
Because
that.
I know that there's one on Wilson in Loveland, and I saw, you know, one comment that somebody said they took a truckload there for $8. And it had way more options of ways to recycle things, and it cost him $8 as a non-resident. And it was not even as far away as the Erie one. It about killed me to dump my stuff there, because I know that they could have gone to better use, I guess. I mean, not necessarily use, but I hated it. It made me sad. I'd like us to see if there's anything else that can be done, even if it's looking into conjoining something with Longmont for limbs, for actual limbs. I know that we have an issue when we've put out yard waste stuff. People bring all kinds of garbage to it that can't be made into a mulch. But Longmont has a pretty good program. Is there anything that we could do to combine with them to do some kind of tree limb removal, bush removal, that kind of thing? I don't know. I would really like to see us look into more options than the Erie landfill. I did not like it. Yeah, they offered more. You could certainly dump more. You could dump anything you wanted there and they wouldn't have cared at all. But I didn't like it. I thought that we can do better, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts.
I can certainly look at Longmont. I know I looked at Longmont and Boulder today. They charge a fee for non-residents. Are we looking for the town and the board to subsidize that in that kind of a partnership?
I don't know what's available because I know that sometimes.
To be
They
clear,
take
Longmont
non-resident yard
system
waste.
is the back half is the tree and limb division and the front half is run by waste management. It's two different things. Longmont's primary location, the back half is the tree where you drop trees and limb and yard waste off, but all the recycling side on the front is waste management. That's two different organizations just in one location. So that's Longmont's big thing, but it would be nice if we had a, recycling aspect, but I'm not completely necessary. We need it at this point.
I'm sorry. All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Lorelei.
Mayor, if I could,
Sure, Darla.
we'll come back to the board with some options. We'll just take a look and see. I know that I go to the landfill in Larimer County all the time. And it's pretty expensive. I mean, I'm surprised that person can go for $8.
I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I went
But it used to be that you could take, here's where you could put your recycling and here's where you would put this and here's.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a little more separated. I guess that's what I had in my head when I went to the Erie one and I was just like,
well, we'll take a look because like I said, I was just at the one in Larimer County and it was kind of a just dump everything. Yeah, they didn't have any segregation. So you couldn't put paint, but metals, wood, trash. So, but we'll take a look. We'll just look at it.
All right, thanks, Lorelei. All right, next is our police update by our officer only, Mr. Palmer. Sir, you have the podium. Come on up.
Suggested that we cover this in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to speak at about 60 with random gusts to 90. So hang on to your seats and here we go. The topic for this evening is the use of the drone and small unmanned aerial systems, which is what the federal government refers to drones as. And we're going to speak specifically about it with respect to law enforcement utilization. Very quick outline, since these slides are going up on the website, are going to be publicly available. This is just a quick outline of what is contained in the presentation here. Typical law enforcement applications of a drone program or a small unmanned aerial system are things like forensic mapping for crash reconstruction, crime scene documentation, or crime scene reconstruction. I'll show you some pictures at the end of the presentation where we can actually take still images or video images, knit them together, and actually create a 3D diagram or a 2D diagram of, for example, an accident site or a crime scene. That's much safer than having a police officer with a camera up in a bucket from a fire truck hanging out over an intersection while a thunderstorm rolls in. Taking pictures of a traffic accident. Missing person location, fugitive location. We have both visual and UV or thermal imaging on our drone here. Message delivery and announcements. This can be used to deliver messages. The electrons are fairly light, so they're easy to lift up and broadcast. We have the ability to record onto the drone, fly the drone to where it needs to be, and then broadcast whatever the message is over a speaker that's mounted on the drone. And that has been most typically used in things like natural disasters, where you need to communicate to somebody, for example, on the other side of a river or something, and you're unable to do that simply by yelling back and forth. So that can be a handy thing. You could perhaps come up with some tactical reasons for using that as well. Tactical scouting, or looking at, for example, a residence that perhaps we were going to serve a search warrant on, wanting to get what is the most recent layout of the home and anything that might be in the yard, environmental assessment, and of course, situational awareness. And of course, the seal in the picture has pretty poor situational awareness because he's unaware of the polar bear walking up behind him. All right, so Mead Police Department does have a policy for the use of the drone. With anything involving the drone, as with anything else involving the police, we're bound by federal and state law. We're bound by policy, and we're bound by some other prohibitions and other circumstances that are going to dictate how we can use it. Some of the approved uses we've talked about: situational awareness, surveillance under very certain circumstances, tactical mission deployment, training, accident investigation. Some of the things we cannot do with this: we can't conduct random surveillance. Okay, that's prohibited. Target a person based on perceived characteristics. We can't harass or intimidate anybody. We can't conduct personal business with the drone. And even though it might sound like it'd be really fun, the drone cannot be weaponized. We can't, hang things on it, or, it might be fun, but we can't do that sort of thing. That's prohibited. There are a number of ways that one could become licensed to fly a drone. The first is, if you're going to operate a drone as a commercial operator within the state of Colorado, you do need to obtain what's called a Part 107 certificate. It's basically a pilot's license that allows you to fly a drone. Anybody can do that. There are courses you can take online to do it. Take the test through the FAA. Fairly straightforward thing to do. To operate with a public service agency, you can either do the Part 107 approach, or you can operate under a certificate of authorization. If you're just flying as a hobbyist and your drone is small enough it meets some particular weight requirements, you don't need to do that. There are some registration requirements the FAA requires, but you don't need to have that particular license. Within the town of Mead, I have a Part 107 license. We have one other officer who just finished his 107 training, and two that are still working on their 107 training. The one officer that just completed he's coming in having not had a pilot's certificate before. So his first pilot certificate is the drone operator's license. I came in as a commercial pilot and a flight instructor, and then did an add-on for the 107. So I was able to add that on. This is basically a little bit more detail on the same slide that I was just talking about, as far as how you can fly. You can either fly under a Part 107, or you can fly under a certificate of authorization. We don't have the authorization for the town of Mead. We're doing all of our flights under Part 107. And the Part 107 is just making reference to the part of the Code of Federal Regulations. So Part 91, Part 107, Part 61, all of those are aviation related things. We do have to fly and comply with all of the U.S. federal airspace rules. So we have the Constitution, we have the federal Constitution, state Constitution, the FAA regs, and Mead police policy. So we need to be in compliance with all of those things on every single flight. There are some ways that we can get a waiver for some of those flights in an appropriate emergency. So we would contact, or the drone pilot would contact air traffic control. We can get a waiver to perform a flight that would normally be prohibited, for example, over a fire or some other circumstance where it was deemed necessary. There are some legal and constitutional limits, like I said, primarily based on the Fourth Amendment and expectations of privacy. If there is an expectation of privacy, the easiest way to think about that is, if there's an expectation of privacy somewhere, then we can't invade that with a drone. Okay, so fenced and enclosed areas, thermal or magnified images, a lot of those things are going to require a warrant unless there's some specific exception to that. And of course, we have to operate in accordance with FAA regulations. Number of imaging types that we can use. We can get both video and still images, visible and thermal or infrared images, and I'll show you some pictures of those in a minute. The images, again, can be knitted into a mesh, and we can get both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional renderings of those with appropriate computer software. The software that we use to create our accident reconstructions, Firestone Police Department has that software, so we work together with them on our crash team to put those things together. And then the final deliverable is a fully manipulable computer map. You can actually take this digital map, move it around, get all your measurements from anywhere within that map. Don't have to rely on the old way of doing things with a whiz wheel where you're rolling along the ground or even shooting distances with a LiDAR. Number of ways that we can fly the patterns to collect those images. There are set patterns that can be programmed into the drone, or you can free flight it and just fly it using the joysticks on the remote control itself. The nice thing about the polygons and the grid or double grid searches is that those time the images exactly based on GPS coordinates so that you can get an exact overlay. The reason the overlay is important is because the better the overlay you get between successive images, the better the quality that your ultimate three-dimensional rendering is going to be. Simply because you have more than one vector that delineates a specific point. Okay, so better overlap, better end result. You can get a 2D, like a CAD diagram from simply, and this doesn't really look much different than what you would get if you were to look at, say, Google Earth. Or any one of the other pieces of mapping software. Where it becomes a lot neater is when we go into three-dimensional results. So these are images that were taken of a mock traffic accident that were put together by that software. And it's not quite as much fun to look at it from here, just as a static image. But if you can imagine, you can zoom in on that pickup and you could look and see what is that little light colored thing right in front of the left rear wheel of that pickup? What's the distance between that or a piece of debris and the wheels? What's the distance between that and say your point of impact? So a lot of that information can be obtained. The other thing that you can do is rather than taking it from just this one angle here, what if we got a better picture of it, looking at it from the other direction, looking this way? So all of that can be done using this three-dimensional software. It's absolutely fantastic, not only for crash reconstruction, but also for crime scene reconstruction. We have run into some challenges on one point on a suspected shooting. We were flying at night and did not kill the strobe lights on the patrol cars. And unfortunately, that ruined a lot of the photography that we were trying to get with the drone at night. We do have, the drone that we have is a DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise. Fits in this small little case right here. Flight time is about 30 minutes per battery. We do have 3 batteries. Does have obstacle sensors on all sides. We can operate in a wide variety of temperatures from 14 to 104. Maximum wind resistance in the literature with the drone is up to about 24 miles an hour. I'm pretty comfortable getting pictures up to about 20. When you start getting more than that, it starts to shake and you start to lose resolution in your pictures. Does have a 3-axis gimbal on it, so very nice rotating gimbal that can look forward, down, rotate side to side, pan in and out. And then there's some information there for those of you that are into photography as well, as far as the quality of the camera. We do have a couple of attachments that go on it as well. We have a spotlight. We have a beacon, which is a strobe beacon for flying at night. We have a speaker that we can put on it. And then again, the camera is both dual imaging. So it has both normal and thermal images. And Marisol, if we could bring up that other directory, I'll just show you. I just shot a couple of real quick pictures over across the street when we were doing the groundbreaking a few minutes ago. So we'll bring up a couple of those images here. And can we make it bigger? Oh, it's still loading? Okay. This way I can keep an eye on Holman behind me. Okay, so with that, Marisol, we can go down to we can actually zoom in on that. And so we can pick up, so if this was a surveillance photo, we've got JC and Caitlin right there. So yeah, exactly. So that's that was from an altitude of about 80 feet. I can go up to about 400 feet and get pictures. And then if you can skip to the next image in line, it's almost the same image, but it's with the thermal imaging camera. So there you can, it's, since it was so warm out today, it's a little harder to make the distinction between the humans and the dirt. But you can imagine if we were looking for a small child at night out in the field, particularly in the wintertime, they show up as a real hotspot. Okay. Same thing if there's a fugitive who's hiding down in some bushes or something like that, we can see them. So this is a lot better, obviously, than having to look for that only using the visible spectrum. It's also very nice to work with this in combination with a canine search. And it's a lot safer than just having to have officers walk a grid looking for somebody who might be dangerous. So with that, I appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions if I may. We do this particular drone platform is absolutely perfect for a department our size. Works very well for what we need it for, and we're hoping to get some more utility and application out of it going forward.
Thank you, Officer Palmer.
Thank you.
Questions or comments for Rob? Fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. That was a lot of information. That was a lot. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Get to where I'm supposed to be. All right. We'll move on to public comment for the night. The board welcomes public comment at the time for any item on the agenda. We will also take comments during the public hearing on item number 9, I believe. And the board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. If you desire a conversation, please email the board or the town manager or attend the monthly coffee with the mayor. If you wish to speak during this public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak at this first public comment period? Mr. Smith, come to the podium.
Don Smith, 325 Main Street. Is this only what's on the agenda, or can I comment on other things?
Oh, that will be public comment number 2, just after a few items on the agenda.
Okay, so not this one.
Not this one.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Don. All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Shrans,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
trustee Parr,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. The motion passes. Thank you, staff, for putting the consent agenda for us tonight. Next, we'll move on to the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority. We will need a motion to recess the Board of Trustees meeting and convene as the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority. Will someone please make that motion?
I move that we recess the current meeting and move into a Mead Liquor Licensing Authority.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
trustee Parr,
Yes.
trustee Shrans,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. I call to order a public hearing of the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority on Monday, June 24th, 2024 at 6:33 p.m. The authority shall consider the application of Highlands Brewing Company LLC. Town Clerk Mary Strutt, please introduce the case and enter into evidence the necessary documents.
Thank you, Mayor. And trustees, in your board packet for tonight is the application, which was submitted to the town clerk's office, together with all the supporting documents. The application was made by Highland Lake Brewing Company, LLC. The application is for a brew pub license at 333 Main Street. The application information starts on page 107 in your packet with the required diagram of the premises on page 128. The diagram shows the storage, coolers, and sales area. The intent is to manufacture malt liquors, which is beer, and allow the sale of alcohol beverages for consumption on the premises and sales of Highland Lake Brewing beer to wholesalers and to the public in sealed containers. The building is currently under construction for tenant finish.
Thank you, Mary. The application submitted to the town clerk, together with all supporting documents, are hereby made part of the record. Any other documents presented to the authority during this hearing shall also be made part of the record if a copy is given to the town clerk. Ms. Strutt, was notice properly posted and published for this matter?
Yes, the property was posted by the applicant June 8th through June 18th. And their affidavit of posting was turned into the clerk's office on Friday. So I have that here and would like to make that the affidavit of posting part of the record. And the notice was also published in the Times Call newspaper on June 12th.
Thank you. This authority is to consider the needs and desires of the neighborhood. What evidence has been presented?
Included in your packet is a petition of residents and business members within the town of Mead in support of the application as submitted by the applicant. The applicant is present here tonight if the authority has any questions. In addition, no comments have been received for or against this matter by the town clerk's office. And this would be the only brew pub license within the town, as noted. Knuckle Puck had a brew pub license, Knuckle Puck Brewing. They recently changed it to a sales room license.
Thank you very much. The applicant may make a presentation to the authority concerning the requested liquor license application. After the applicant presents testimony, other interested persons will be provided an opportunity to address the authority. Ms. Shannon Ratinsky, you have the floor if you would like.
Thank you. My name is Shannon Ratinsky, 333 Main Street. And just a quick overview. We are a family that have come together to do this business. It started about 5 years ago with the dream. We're all medical people who feel like we can find something more fun to do than serve what we're currently serving. So this seemed like a wonderful opportunity. The original, my cousin Teresa and her husband are kind of the initial dreamers, and the whole purpose was that we wanted to find a small town to integrate in, to create a gathering place so that we could have families, dogs, you know, be able to integrate into the small town feel versus, you know, the big city where we all kind of work and live. So this coming to Mead and finding your town has been a dream come true for us. We love it. We've been very welcomed here. We've gotten a lot of wonderful help from Mary, so I thank you very much. We're obviously novices, have never done this before. We know a lot about IVs and breathing treatments, but not so much about the whole process moving into a business. So again, thank you for all of your kindness. We look forward to being a part of the community. You know, we've gotten, like I said, we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from the town, from all of you. And we're just looking forward to the opportunity to be a part of your community.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate the
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it too.
Is there any member of the public who would like to speak for or against this application tonight? All right. Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Ms. Strutt, has the applicant demonstrated their right to possess the premises?
Yes, a lease for the property was included in the board packet, and zoning of the property was reviewed by Kyle Estrada Clark, town planner.
Did the town's investigation of the applicant disclose any reason why the applicant cannot hold the license they are requesting?
No, it did not. The applicant has submitted all required documentation, including completion of all local fingerprinting and background check requirements for all applicants with ownership in the LLC.
Thank you. Do you have anything further to add, Ms. Strutt?
I do not have anything further.
Thank you. Do any of the trustees have any comments or questions for this evening? Okay, seeing none, this public hearing is now closed at 6:39 p.m. and the Liquor Licensing Authority will not accept any additional testimony at this time. Is there a motion regarding this application before us this evening?
I move that since the applicant has fulfilled every requirement necessary, that we approve the request.
Second.
If I may, trustee Trans, there are some conditions that we'd like considered that are in the AIS. For example, the construction of the facility is not complete. So that needs to be completed in compliance with a proper building permit. And it needs to fit a inspection when it's completed.
I'm looking for that.
Actual wording, I know, me too.
You tell me what page it's on, will it help? Thank you. Holy crap. I want to, what 18. Okay. To approve the application of the Lake Brewing Company LLC for a new brew pub license based on the findings set forth in the staff report for the June 24, 2024 meeting, and based on the following additional findings: that the applicant is of good moral character and not prohibited as a licensee, and that the premises and their locations are suitable based on a review of the plans submitted, and that the petition submitted by applicant, along with testimony received at the public hearing, indicate that existing outlets are inadequate to serve the thirst needs of the neighborhood, and that there is a need and desire for the brew pub license as measured by the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood. I further move that this approval is conditioned upon the following: 1, applicant receiving a certificate of occupancy for the premises within 1 year of the date of this approval. 2, a determination upon inspection by town staff that the building complies with a submitted diagram, which includes a plot plan, detailed interior sketch submitted with the applicant. 3, federal brewer's permit update with the address and proposed licensed premises. I further move to direct town staff to notify the State of Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division of this approval.
Second.
Thank you, Mary. Roll call, please.
Trustee Trans,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Parr,
Yes.
trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. We will now need a motion to adjourn the Mead Liquor Licensing Authority and reconvene as the Board of Trustees. Will someone please make that motion?
A motion that we adjourn is the Mead Liquor License and readjourn as the trustees.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Parr,
Yes.
trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
trustee Trans.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, motion carries. The time now is 6:43. We will now reconvene to the regular meet of the Board of Trustees before we move on to number 10. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to Mead, and we look forward to beer. Brew, excuse me.
Fulfilling our thirst needs.
Yes, and sticking around with us for so many years. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time. All right. Next, we'll move on to our committee appointments, and I'll turn the podium over to our Community Development Director, Jason Bradford. Sir, you have the podium.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees. Appreciate it. As you all know, a vacancy, there is a vacancy on the Planning Commission for an alternate member. And so the town had several applications, and there's several criteria that we consider when reviewing various applicants, which are all laid out in your packet. But to make this brief, on behalf of the Planning Commission and behalf of staff, we would like to make a recommendation that we appoint William Jorgensen to the Planning Commission as an alternate member. William has lived in the town of Mead for 14 years. He has a lot of interest in master plans, master plan updates, development review. In his career, he was Director of Transportation for the City of Boulder. He also was a Deputy Director for Planning and Development for the RTD, Regional Transportation District. He attended the two required two meetings, Planning Commission meetings. He introduced himself to staff and to the Planning Commission and expressed an interest in serving the community in this way. So that is the recommendation that staff and the Planning Commission is making to the board, and I stand ready for any questions if you have any.
Questions or comments from Mr. Bradford? All right. Thank you, Jason, very much. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Jorgensen as the alternate member of the Planning Commission for this evening?
I'll move to appoint William Jorgensen as the alternate planning commissioner for the 4-year term through December 31st, 2024, effective June 24th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. A roll call, please, Mary.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Parr,
Yes.
Trustee Strand.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Please extend our thank you to Mr. Jorgensen when you see him next. We appreciate everyone's their volunteerism for our town. So tell him, make sure thank you. All right, next we'll move on to our second regular public comment period of this evening. This comment period is for any item, whether it is on the agenda or not. All other guidelines previously stated do apply. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak at this second public comment period with anything that's on the agenda or not? Mr. Smith?
John Smith, 325 Mead. Last Sunday, my dog was hit by a car over by the junior high school. It's come to my attention mainly because of that, but in the past, not so much. It's just continues. People speed around here quite a bit, especially downtown, down Main Street. Everybody knows I live on Main Street. There's no signs there to tell what the speed limit is. And there's people riding up and down Main Street quite fast now. I think the police need to patrol the main part of our town more so than the outskirts, mainly because of the speed. It's not anecdotal just because my dog was hit. The person was doing at least 40, 45 over by the junior high school. The dog did survive. That being said, though, the speed, I watch people go through the stop sign right here at this corner quite regularly without even stopping. And it's getting more crowded downtown. So when people back up and pull in, it's really tight already. So we need to do something about downtown and the streets behind me as well, 5th and 6th. But the other thing, and I know I only got 3 minutes and I brought this up to somebody, moving the police station down to 66, I'm totally against that. But I've been told that the lot north of Ziggy's is not big enough for anything. Well, can we have a substation there? We already have plumbing. We already have gas. We have electrical. Is it big enough for a substation? Because the traffic that's on sub, and if we have a substation, we have police cars parked there, just like they do right now on the other side of Ziggy's. It makes a big statement for people coming up and down the road. So we already have a lot going on that lot before we sell it over to Ziggy's. We put a substation there, we just have cars parked there, just like they are on the other side from time to time. It make a huge difference. I think it's worth considering, especially with the bar opening up. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Don. Appreciate and I'm glad your dog's okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during this public comment period? And we'll look into the speed limit signs too, what you noticed. Okay. All right. We'll have our town engineer look at it. All right. Thank you. We'll move on to our elected official reports. Is anybody, the trustees would like to report on anything? Not even CML? Come on. Okay. All right, Herman. Tricia, have a good night.
It is by CML. I agree with Helen. I don't think it was as populated as it normally is. But I will tell you the one thing that I significantly got good input from was talking to other people. We sat down, did a lot of networking. Trustee Adams, Trustee Parr, Mayor, we sat down. We did come up with something that we had the opportunity to pass it on directly to Mr. Bomer. We learned that these conferences deal with every city and community in the state of Colorado, which is great. But our interest in Mead is really more about small towns. Although Mead and Denver may have the same problem, we certainly have totally different solutions. So I needed to get input that says, what are other small towns doing to resolve similar problems that we have? And that level of networking, I thought, is very, very valuable. And it's things that we can respond to and clearly understand. Mr. Bomer seemed somewhat receptive to doing all that. Apparently, he has heard similar suggestions from other communities, so it's not only us that are raising the flag, but we asked that he take a look at it and see what they're able to do next year. If nothing more, maybe just breakout sessions for small towns and versus large towns and things of that nature, just to do that. Because like I said, I got a lot of information talking to people from Ouray, from different small towns, and it was a lot more valuable to me. So otherwise, it was a great session. Missed you.
Just same thing, just riding off the coattails of that. It was extremely beneficial from a lot of the conferences in itself. Some of the things I received just from sitting in and listening in were very valuable, but a lot of it came from just sitting around, getting a chance to talk to some of the other communities that are similar to our own, so that we could figure out what issues they were having and some of the same issues that we were having. And all of a sudden you kind of feel you're not alone. And it was nice to see that they're going through some of the same issues that we are, and some of the issues they've already dealt with. So we're like, oh, well, how did you accomplish that? Because we need that information. So it was a great exchange. Very beneficial. Again, going, I highly recommend anybody that hasn't gone yet to do so, because again, it just gives you that we're not alone. We're all in this together, but there are different levels that we need to work within to get things done, and at a more small town level than working with Denver or working with Greeley or some of these other towns that, you know, they have problems too, but they're just at a different level than we are right now. It was very beneficial, very eye-opening.
I will definitely agree with all of that. It was nice to actually get to talk to some of their small communities and see what they're experiencing and stuff. But since I moved a lot slower through the conference than everyone else, I got to hear conversations about where problems were and make sure to go to workshops that were similar, like, oh, hey, we're having that discussion, so let's have that. And definitely learned that we are not alone in a lot of the boats, but we all have to handle it in a way that works for us. And that was, there's a lot of things I know coming down the line for us, that it's a discussion, and it's interesting to see how other communities, Lock Buoy, their discussions with us at the table were definitely interesting. I'm pretty sure we were the Bertha and Mead Lock Buoy tape. We should have gotten kicked out of that luncheon, as ridiculous as we got. But yeah, that for me is, you know, my second time in, it was like, oh, there's a lot of work to be done, and I am still in over my head. So yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks, staff, for putting this together for us to go. I just wanted to say thank you for today. We have been working on this community center for quite some time. So today was a monumental day for this town. So I just want to say thank you for the Board of Trustees and staff and the community for getting that off the ground, so to speak. So I just want to say I'm just so happy and tickled today to be a part of this. But I just want to say also that we'll see most of you tomorrow at the the meet, eat and greet. They'll also have the adult cornhole tomorrow. And then, of course, we have a busy week ahead, and a great 4th of July parade coming up with the kids. So thank you again for tonight. I'm sad that Tricia didn't get here to be with us tonight, but she had other obligations. But thank you very much for all of it, because when we start moving, right next door, it's gonna make this town a little bit better. So thank you very much. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Parr,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The June 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 6:55. I'd like to say thank you to our board, our staff, and the community who was with us today and with us in person and virtually. And please drive home carefully. And thank you very much. Have a good night.